member of the Energy Committee.
It's recording. That's all.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. Okay, welcome to as soon as we have a quorum, the June meeting of the Yarmouth Energy Committee. We're going to get going with our speaker just as an informal group, because Mario, who's the power supply planner for the Cape Light Compact, has another commitment at 5, and her time is super valuable. So we're going to jump in, and I assume another EC member will join us, but quietly, so that Mario won't be interrupted.
All right,
Welcome, Mario.
and Amanda's on also.
Hello.
Is Joyce frozen?
She's been experiencing some internet problems in her area.
That's not good. I have some slides. Is that like too much? Do you just want me to speak, or should I run through a couple slides?
Okay,
You should be able to.
okay. Bob is about to call or text you. He has some connection issue that I don't understand, Sandy. Okay, so Mario comes to us with a background from Tufts University, which makes it such a shame that Mike Duffy isn't here and is in Madison, Wisconsin, working on type 1 energy and fission this week. But you guys will run into each other at future events. Mario, thank you so much for coming to talk to us today about summer rates, Cape Light Compact aggregation plan, and also some things that distinguish the compact aggregation plan from the clean choice energy plan that everyone keeps getting several times a month in their mail. And the microphone is yours, Mario.
Okay, yeah, thanks so much. I have a couple slides that I will attempt to share now. If that's okay. And can you see the slide, or is it in presenter mode?
I can see it.
You can see the slide.
That beautiful lighthouse. I love that lighthouse.
Great. Okay. So I'm just gonna, start with a quick overview of our power supply product. So the compact is contracted with NextEra Energy Services to provide power supply services, and that contract currently runs through the end of 2026. Our power supply program offers competitive electric prices, terms and conditions that protect our customers. And so essentially that means that customers can opt out at any time with no termination fee, which is something that we often see with competitive supply contracts. Also, sometimes with competitive supply contracts, we see prices that say they're fixed, but aren't entirely fixed as the contract goes on. So our rates are fixed for 6 months for residential and commercial customers. So they do change. Our rates just changed. That's why I'm here speaking with you, but they change every 6 months and they're fixed beyond that. As you can see on the right, we have 3 different power supply offerings. They're all 100% renewable, using voluntary renewable energy certificates. So our rates for the June through December 2023 term, our residential rate for our standard product is 14.839 cents per kilowatt hour. So customers should see that rate reflected on the bill that they receive in July, because it goes into effect on June meter reads. You can also see the rates for our local green 50 and 100 products, which are slightly more expensive than that standard offering. And then down at the bottom of the chart, you can see Eversource's rate of 16 cents, just over 16 cents per kilowatt hour. So our rate is a little bit more than a cent below that Eversource rate for the summer. Our rate is also, it's about a 32% decrease from our winter rate, which we're very happy to be able to offer customers. I'd say it's still a pretty high summer rate compared to previous years. It's lower than last summer, but it's still kind of in the grand scheme of things, a high summer rate, but it's definitely a lot better than the winter, and we're glad to see rates coming down. So to jump into our products and just to give kind of an overview, as Joyce was touching on, how our product differs from Eversource Basic Service or Clean Energy Choice, which I'm actually not really an expert on exactly what is involved in their product, but our standard product is 100% renewable, and we get to 100% renewable by matching our customers' annual electric usage with renewable energy certificates above the amount that's mandated by state requirements. So essentially, in the state of Massachusetts, there are a number of requirements. They can kind of all blanket be referred to as renewable portfolio standards, but it's also a clean energy standard. So by law, we are required to purchase renewable energy certificates to meet those requirements. And then above and beyond those, we get to 100% by matching our customers' usage above those standards. And we're doing that with voluntary renewable energy credits that are Earth-era RECs. So these RECs are generated by renewable facilities that are located outside of New England. I have a slide and a couple slides that shows that a lot of them are generated by wind facilities in Texas. And then in addition to that, we also do match our customers' usage above the Massachusetts Class 1 portfolio standard with an additional 1% of Massachusetts Class 1 RECs. And so that Massachusetts Class 1 renewable portfolio standard is, those certificates are generated by renewable energy facilities that are located within New England, putting that renewable power onto the grid. And those are new renewable facilities, which essentially means they were built after 1997. Additionally, folded into our product is a very small amount of solar that we have a power purchase agreement for with Farmington Solar, which is located up in Maine. So we have a PPA to purchase a little less than 5 megawatts of that, which comes out to about 8,720 megawatt hours annually. And we're receiving that at a fixed price over a 20-year contract. And then we have been in discussions and signed a memorandum of understanding with Commonwealth Wind back in October to agree to try to work towards signing a PPA for energy and RECs, which would be exciting. Commonwealth Wind has been in the news a bit lately because they're having some issues meeting the contract that they signed with the distribution company. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes, but we would hope that we could work something out with them in the future, depending on how that works out for them. And so this is just a little bit more detail for anyone that's interested in kind of seeing the different renewable portfolio standards that we are required to meet by law, and then the voluntary amounts. So on the left, you can see what's required, that 59.2%, and then the voluntary 40.8%. And then on the right, there's a whole lot more detail where you can see that we're actually complying with SREC, Class 1, Clean Energy Standard, Class 2, the list goes on. And then you can see that additional voluntary 1% of Class 1 RECs that we're purchasing, and then the voluntary Earth-era RECs in the 39.8% of our load. And so this does differ from Eversource Basic Service, for example, in that Eversource Basic Service is just meeting those required resource percentages. So they're meeting that 59.2%, but they're not matching anything above and beyond those standards in their basic service offering. And so to give a little bit more information on those Earth-era RECs, the voluntary RECs that are generated by resources outside of New England, you can see that on the two pie charts on the left are where those Earth-era RECs were generated in 2020 and 2021. So mostly wind in Texas, a little bit of wind in Oklahoma, and in 2020, there was a small amount of solar in New Mexico. So we're purchasing, in those years, we purchased renewable energy certificates generated by those facilities to match our customers' usage. And then on the right-hand side, you can see a pie chart that shows where the money that is donated into the Earth-era Trust is being contributed to. And so essentially, all of the funds from the purchase of Earth Era RECs are deposited into a trust called the Earth Era Renewable Energy Trust. And that trust is used specifically to fund new renewable energy projects. And NextEra, as our supplier, has made a commitment to direct those funds to projects that are located in New England to the extent possible. And so, as of 2022, our contributions to that Earth Era Trust have contributed $10.9 million towards the development of solar projects. And then there's an additional 10.6 million in that trust that we have not yet dispersed, but will be dispersed to new renewable energy projects, hopefully in New England. So you can see that a small amount of the funding that has been dispersed went to solar outside of New England, but 48% of it has gone to new renewable energy development in New England. And then finally, our two local green options. So these two options are really above and beyond that our standard offering. All of the attributes of the standard offering are included within the local green options. But these two products really help support the development of renewable energy in New England. And that's because these projects are matching, or these products are matching customers' usage above the Massachusetts Class 1 renewable portfolio standard. And so you can see that they are slightly more expensive. The local green 50% is 1.3 cents per kilowatt hour more expensive than the standard offering, and the 100% is 3.6 cents per kilowatt hours more expensive. But that additional premium is being used to purchase additional Class 1 renewable energy credits. So those credits are generated by facilities that are located within New England, putting that renewable power onto the grid in New England, and therefore kind of creating more demand to develop renewable energy projects in New England. So that was all that I had. Are there any questions?
Mario, this is Joyce. I have a question. Do you find it very difficult to secure large sources of renewable energy close by? Because I know the idea was regional and then, you know, Cape and islands produced as soon as possible.
You mean for the local green in particular?
Yes.
Yes, we do have, as I'm sure you know, some of the CVEC projects.
Mm-hmm.
We do have some of the renewable energy certificates generated by those products are part of this product. So there is that, and those are somewhat easy for us to come by because we already have a contract with CVEC for those RECs. But beyond that, yes, it isn't the easiest thing to actually find RECs. A lot of facilities like will work with a REC aggregator or already have contracts in place. So it's often not as easy to find facilities that are located on the Cape, but still just by taking those Class 1 RECs off the market, we're kind of showing the market that there is demand for RECs, and that is hopefully driving more supply.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I assume that although it's wonderful to have, you know, solar on every house, those would be too tiny to be of help to the compact unless they were sold to a vendor and kind of pushed all together as a big bundle of RECs. Is that right?
Yeah, so solar facilities that were registered under the SREC program, which is the program before the SMART program, did generate SRECs, which are a type of Class 1 REC, but they're significantly more expensive than a Class 1 REC. There currently aren't really if you would install the solar system on your roof today, it would be registered under the SMART program. And the renewable energy certificates generated by that facility would actually go to the to Eversource. They essentially get
Ah.
those RECs. So at the moment, there aren't those like small rooftop systems generating RECs that are going onto the market.
Okay. That's helpful to know because of course, we're going to have 50 some people adding solar to their roofs in the next year now that the Solarize Yarmouth situation has been resolved. And so I know people are going to be asking Energy Committee members that question.
Yeah, so
Um,
those systems I imagine will be registered in the SMART program.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Mario?
Hi, this is Barry. I'm trying to get my head around what it means to be buying the voluntary birth era RECs. I'm looking at a plaintive email I got from my friend Michael Holton Truro yesterday, talking about how they basically don't have anything to do with buying renewable energy. I mean, it's a more or less an accounting device for energy producers that the government allows them to describe as renewable energy credits, but aren't actually about making renewable energy. And I don't really know what it, explain it to me, please.
I will try. I've seen some of these emails. He's not wrong that RECs are a financial instrument. It's really the way that the system right now works in Massachusetts and a number of other states is they encourage renewable development through these portfolio standards. There's no way for us to set up a power line directly from a wind farm to each of our houses. And Cape Light Compact does have the PPA with Farmington Solar, which I mentioned that because that actually is a power purchase agreement for energy and RECs that's folded into our power supply. So it actually goes through ISO New England. We are purchasing that power according to ISO New England. Is there a line directly from Maine to Cape Cod? No, but in terms of the wholesale electric markets, we are actually purchasing a small amount of that power, and it's slated into our account in ISO New England. In terms of RECs, one REC represents the environmental attributes of 1 megawatt hour of renewable power that was generated. So if you have a wind turbine that generates a megawatt hour of power, it generates that megawatt hour of power, and then it generates this financial instrument called the renewable energy certificate. And it's separate from the power. It can obviously be decoupled. People are buying the power in the market and we're buying the REC all the way from Texas. But that's what it represents according to the law. And it's how we're able to say that we are purchasing renewable power. It's really the way that the system works right now. And there will be more power purchase agreements. We see these coming down the line with the wind turbines that are all of these different wind projects that are slated to come online eventually. And then we will be able to actually purchase energy and RECs, and then we can essentially retire those RECs and say that we used the renewable energy. But until then, the only way for us to get at renewable is to purchase these renewable energy certificates.
So it's really a question of the track of the electrons and the track of the dollars being separate tracks, but the dollars do go to promote more renewable electrons. They just might not be associated with particular electrons in the making.
Right. But by taking those renewable energy certificates off the market, we are driving we're showing that there is demand for the renewable energy to be produced. And so we're hopefully encouraging more supply to be built to meet that demand.
Does the compact have a strategy to try to buy enough power from the new wind farms to meet the Cape's demand? I mean, well, are the wind farms big enough to do that? And, is that
So-
the goal?
So all of the wind farms that are currently in development or being talked about arose out of RFPs that were put out by the state. And those were specifically slated to contract with the distribution companies. So most of that generation is already spoken for through those contracts. We do, as I said, have a memorandum of understanding with Commonwealth Wind to try to potentially sign a power purchase agreement for a slice of that project if they happen to have extra megawatt hours because their project specs changed or something from when they signed the contract with the EDCs to when it's actually built. So yeah, definitely it's something that the compact is looking at. I think something that always needs to be considered when you're signing a long-term contract for something like energy, though, is that currently our rate changes every 6 months, which means we can be pretty responsive to the broader market. If we were to sign a 20-year contract for a lot of our load, then we're locked into a 20-year contract at a price, and it kind of leaves us a little more vulnerable to prices changing in the market. So it's something that the board certainly has discussed, but I do think that is one of the things that the board discusses when we talk about a long-term contract is that added risk.
Okay, do we have any more questions for Mario? Mario, I noticed that it's 4:57. So if we fit in another question, you wouldn't have time to answer. But I suggest if anyone has additional questions, that they email Mariel at the Cape Light Compact, and I'm sure she'll be glad to answer them. But I promised to get her out the door by 5. So Mariel, I'm living up to that pledge.
Thank you so much
for coming. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks. And yeah, happy to answer any additional questions if anything comes up.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Okay. One reason for scheduling that was it seems to me there's the potential for a lot of confusion because of the new Massachusetts legislation about power supply. Because the Cape Light Compact was in a contract that doesn't expire until the end of the contract, which goes past this year, they get to stick with their NextEra contract and its arrangements about renewable energy. But after that, their contracts will be subject to, and the compact is happy to comply with the new energy legislation. The compact board had a vote, and we took this so seriously that we discussed it 1 week and then came 1 month and then came back and voted on it on the next month. Because the Massachusetts legislature didn't get this through at the end of a power period, compact contracts with customers are every 6 months. You have your cold weather one that starts January 1st, and then you have your warm weather one that starts July 1st. Because this only came up in the spring, and because the compact was already forced to increase rates July 1st by a Department of Public Utilities decision that on appeal went against the compact, and the compact has decided not to spend more money to bring it to the Supreme Judicial Court. Compact customers are already going to see a slightly higher July 1st through December 31st or through December billing period increase than they would otherwise have had. Otherwise, July 1st rates would be, they're already lower than the cold weather rates, but they would have been, even lower than they currently are. So because the compact had that already added in, which couldn't be distributed across 12 months, which had to be dumped on the customers within the second half of the year. That was also a consideration with the compact taking advantage of its contract with NextEra not expiring this year to wait for the to apply the new renewable standard, because there was no way, and the compact attorneys investigated this, not to apply it back to January 1st of 2023. There was no way to apply it starting with the July bills. You were either all in for the whole year of 2023 or all out. And so that was going to be a double contribution compared to what the Commonwealth intended for the later 6 months of 2023. You probably have questions about that, but I did want you to know that, and want you to know the Compact Board looked at all this very seriously. But we are concerned always about making renewable energy too expensive to be desirable when people are weighing dollars and cents against the basic service rate or against the competitive supply market, of which, for example, the clean energy supply is an example. The clean energy, the company Clean Energy, with the solicitations that we all receive in the mail, that has, of course, a starter rate, and then the rate varies after that, and customers who don't pay attention before the starter rate ends are finding that that's been quite expensive. Okay, and anything more on Cape Light Compact stuff?
Are
Nope.
the people that have the NextEra with Cape Light Compact aware of all of this happening? I know, like on the municipal side, we are always aware that we take the gamble, but I mean, are the normal everyday customers aware of that?
On the municipal side, it doesn't affect them because their contracts are, the compact sets up an auction for them, but they can't be on the regular compact track, because since the compact buys electricity resale, not wholesale, it's doing it in 6-month pieces to try to keep the rates flexible rather than lock itself into really long-term things. But the municipalities insist on multi-year contracts, so that's why they're on a separate track.
I knew that they were on a separate track, but I mean, we were aware of what could happen. I just don't know if the everyday customer is aware that this could be happening if we went with Cape Light Compact.
I'm not sure what this is that you're mentioning. The thing that's not going to happen until the end of the contract?
Right? No, the increase.
But see, that's not going to happen till the end of the contract. The state mandated increase?
Okay, all right, then I misunderstood.
Yeah, there is an increase that's from the DPU decision, but the amount from the new state renewable energy legislation would have been much higher than that, and it would have had to be doubled because it would be in the second half of the year. And part of the reason that in the end, the board decided against it was that it was not going to be something that we were going to be able to get customers to pay enough attention to understand, because it's hard enough even for me to understand and you to understand, you know, and we are into energy in a way that most people are.
Right.
So DPU affected the summer rate, and it's a little higher than it would have otherwise been, but it's still way below the cold weather rate. And the raise in buying what we used to call first class RECs, that's partially covered by the Next Era stipulations, but as you saw, a lot of the money, 10.6 million, is waiting to be dispersed on that. But it's not going to affect the compact until the end, the compact customers and the compact power supply price across all rate classes until the end of the Next Era contract.
Okay, thank you.
Joyce,
Yep, Bob?
has the new price been published by the compact yet for June?
Oh, yeah, all that was posted. I mean, it has to go, there's a whole mandated thing with the DPU. So it was in the papers a couple weeks ago, and it's on the compact website with all the information about all the other suppliers.
Okay,
So if you need it for any seniors who still hit you up for counseling on energy rates, probably the fastest way to go is to go to the compact site. But it would have been one of the few paid things, like many of the probate notices that are long paid advertisements that are keeping the Cape Cod Times in business.
oh, I was, we, on Nextdoor, there was this long conversation 6 months ago about the increase in rates. And I thought I might bring up the new rates, but I was waiting for them and I hadn't seen them anywhere. And I'm surprised nobody else has made mention of them.
They're probably happy because they went down so much.
Yeah,
But they don't realize that that's to be expected in the warm weather.
yes. So I'll take a look at that, and I may make some comments on that. This discussion of RECs is much too abstract for me. Electricity is the most abstract phase of physics, one that I had some difficulty, even though I was a student, a science student, understanding, and now you bring it to another level of abstraction with RECs, and I'm completely at a loss to understand what a REC and an SREC and a first class REC are. They've certainly wrecked me.
Some of that is that the state incentive programs keep changing. So there were RECs, and then and RECs used to be for all classes of renewable energy, and they're short for renewable energy certificates. Then as more renewables came online, the state changed and diversified so that for solar, which is probably what you're thinking of for our customers, their solar, somebody putting solar on their house a couple years ago would have gotten SRECs for that. And the S in front of the RECS is for solar. But now they would be getting, depending on where they were in the layers, because the layers go down with each layer of customers. They get things from they get income, a very tiny amount, really like a couple hundred a year at the start of the Solarize program, and less than that now from this Massachusetts SMART program, which is Solar Massachusetts something renewable tariff. Oh, yes, that's right. They have the A there for Massachusetts, capital S, capital M-A, and then capital R and capital T for renewable tariffs. And those are funded by the little renewable line on your electricity bill. So
So-
Massachusetts collects that and then pays it to out as a thank you to through the SMART program to renewable energy producers.
So Joyce, I'm trying to understand what you said a few minutes ago about the compact not being bound by the recent state legislative change. Does that mean that the state's new renewable portfolio standard is going to require more class 1 RECs for Eversource than it effectively is requiring from the compact?
I would say yes, but I'm not absolutely sure about that. It seems like it would. Certainly it's meant to eventually hit everyone, but because they knew that that there were utility contracts out for power that were multi-year, it said that those contracts could continue as they were already, signed and agreed to in previous years until the end of the contract. So for example, the municipalities contract, some of those municipalities have 3-year contracts. And so their contracts, which are not through the compact, would be on the same terms until the contract expired.
And is Eversource's power supply not based on longer term contracts in the way that the compacts is?
I don't know. Certainly they have some rates. You remember they've got industrial rates, and the industrial rates might be bargained differently and have more long-term rates than the small commercial and the residential.
I'm
but
just sort of responding.
Ronit, who could answer that well would be Ronit, who's been here at a previous meeting. Do you want me to put that question to her at Eversource?
No, I'm kind of just conscious that if that's the case, it is going to be a point of sensitivity or vulnerability for the compact. If
I think this evening it might be. I'm not sure other than
I
this
just
evening.
I
I'm
had
aware a
not-
big fuss is
I
going
had
to be
not-
made.
okay, like
But, I mean, you understand, Barry, contracts are contracts. I mean, the state isn't there to break up a contract 2/3 of the way through.
right, it's just as we both know, there have been critics of the compact out
Oh,
there in
for sure.
the bushes, and just
And that person signed in on the Zoom and watched the entire vote. Heard the argument at the second meeting, all the discussion, and observed the vote.
right, that's not the only person I'm thinking of, though.
Okay, sure. I mean, I'm aware that a lot of people like say, for example, when Vineyard Wind was up and running, there was a lot of discussion about why isn't the compact buying its supply from Vineyard Wind? And the compact wasn't legally allowed to do that because the state had already set up contracts with utilities to purchase that wind. So I'm aware that compact a lot of times is misunderstood. I mean, if it were just disagreed with on the facts, that would be one thing, but a lot of times the facts aren't the situation of the disagreement. There's a larger disagreement about the compact generally.
I think we can probably move on.
Okay. At this point, resuming a more normal order for the agenda, I give the floor over to one of our co-secretaries to consider the minutes from May.
I sent everybody the minutes. Are there any corrections?
And Bob, for the future, I think it would really help people to have them a little further in advance, because a lot of people like are busy the day of the meeting right up until the meeting. So that creates a bit of an attention problem, and you want to get the full attention for your minutes.
Of course.
Did anybody see any problems? Anybody say something brilliant last time that they insist be included? Anybody have any motions?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second,
Oh, and there's a second. Is there any discussion? Nope. Okay, seeing none, let's take a vote. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye and raise your hand on the Zoom, because it turns out that there has to be a record of this on the Zoom.
Aye.
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 Okay, Camilla, you and I as well?
I must admit that I think minutes
I'm
are
sorry,
becoming.
oh, go ahead.
I-
Yes, I'm
I think-
aye.
I think minutes are becoming obsolete as meetings are both recorded on video and closed caption texts are available. That they that the role of the secretary might be to indicate it at what point in the meeting, using the clock on that's available in both cases to what part of the agenda was being talked about.
Nice try, Bob.
No, I'm just saying in the future, I understand that right now, the minutes, and of course, if it's a meeting that is not recorded, then the traditional, writing of minutes is necessary.
Okay, and it will be for a while, I think. I mean, not just because of the open meeting law requirements, but also because of the way people use minutes, like to look and see like where a discussion is. Maybe they look at it a couple months minutes of a committee to try to locate one discussion, and you can't really expect them to, I mean, valuable though the meetings might be, listen to the videos to try to find it.
No, I understand that.
Okay, so listen, to accept the minutes, Bob, you're an aye, right?
Yes.
Barry, you're an aye.
yes.
I'm an aye. Sandy, you're an aye.
Yes.
And Camilla, you're an aye.
Yes,
Okay, the minutes are accepted as read. As written, sorry. Amanda, do you have any town energy news for us this month?
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, just a small update. They finally started the solar at the senior center. So that was pretty exciting. We're
Oh, we should have a
our-
party for that.
right? It's been a long time in the making. And then we're expediting a sidewall project for where the equipment will go, so that hopefully by the time they come back to do the rest of the electrical work, that work will be done and we don't have to, try to coordinate that later. So, but yeah, so that project's, yeah, they were, had started the roof work last week, and yeah, they just keep moving ahead.
Excellent. And do you know anything about the state of the electric chargers? You assume they're all working, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Every once in a while, I get an email from a member of another committee with an electric car, as if, of course, Energy Committee would know the status of every EV charger. So
Yeah.
I appreciate your keeping us in the loop, Amanda.
Yeah, and if anything, pops up, you can always email me so we can try to, if something is an issue with one of them.
Question, Amanda.
Yeah.
Can anybody go to the DPW one that's right there at the corner of Buck Island and Townhouse Road and use it?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay, any other questions for Amanda?
No, I saw that the new traffic light on Great Western
Yep.
and is working.
Yes.
Yep.
Nice
Those
job.
of us in South Yarmouth, that includes Sandy and myself on opposite sides of Station Ave, now have 4 schools with school bus routes. Station Ave, just the 10th, DY High School, DY Intermediate School, and Station Ave Elementary. Just saying, you people in Yarmouthport and West Yarmouth, you might be careful getting on Station Ave during various morning and afternoon times in the school year.
It wasn't too bad this morning. I was there around 8:30. All the traffic lights seemed to be working fine. Actually, the traffic light at Old Townhouse Road had the traffic all backed up all the way to 6. And then once you got on 6, going to Orleans, there were 2 accidents. So the traffic was backed up past Dennis.
Oh, wow.
So I'll take the school traffic.
The joys of summertime on the Cape.
Any other questions for Amanda? I guess you have filled us with so much knowledge. There isn't room for more, Amanda. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Okay,
Thank
have a
you.
lovely June.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye. Okay, next item on the agenda, update on Solarize Plus developments. The only one there is that there is a customer who was installed by Solar Wolf, but has not received and has written the bankruptcy trustee all the information needed for registration of the panels for warranties. That person needs the IP number for each panel on the great SunPower cloud in the sky. So I've passed that to Mass CEC, and they're going to pass that to SunPower. And it's a reminder of how important it is with all of these installations to make sure that every electronic I is dotted, because if the information on the panels isn't in the SunPower cloud, and 10 years from now you have a panel problem, they're not going to have any account of it. But that person has gotten in touch with me, and in the next update, I'm putting a little mention that people should be very careful tracking that. And once they get panels up, they should make sure that the information that they're given for the warranty does send them to the SunPower cloud and a location for their records.
It's sort of like buying a new microwave oven and sending in the card, registering it for the warranty.
Yes, yes, except, none of us bought our microwaves through Solar Wolf. What can I say?
Yes, exactly.
Microwave Wolf. Thank God they didn't exist. But yeah, it's that idea, only it also, it doesn't just have your warranty information. It has all the work ever done on your panels, so that they also, with the IP number for each panel, they track your production. And the idea is that if they see the production on one panel going down, they get in touch with you probably before you notice it.
Yeah. So for those who will be getting their arrays installed by SunPower is chosen contractor here on the Cape, all that work will be done between the contractor, all that registration of panels work will be done presumably between the contractor directly with SunPower.
Absolutely. Yep. SunPower dealer just takes care of it all, gets it to customer at the end of things. And it's only if the dealer abruptly goes out of business and fires employees and turns off the phones that it's ever an issue.
Yes,
But
yes.
we happen to get that issue.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else about Solarize?
Joyce, this is Sandy. How will those customers get notified? Like, how are they going to queue them up? The people that were already on slate with Solar Wolf scheduled at the top, or are they just picking random customers?
I don't know that yet. It would make sense to do them in chronological order, but I confess that I also would like to tweak that, because we have 2 households that bought panels where both household members are in their 80s. And I would like to see them upped a little bit on the list for obvious reasons. But I'm not the one who decides that. But as soon as I know, I'll let you know, because I think that's the thing that that customers are really going to want to know, and they'll really want to know the reasoning behind any queue, and they'll really need to think that it was fair.
I'm
As
assuming,
as the committee's resident octogenarian, I approve that wholeheartedly.
Well, thank you, Bob. I can be sued for age discrimination, of course.
I'm assuming that the solar companies will probably pick locations that are close to one another so that they can get a bigger bang for their buck, but those that have been waiting a long time
Yes.
are not gonna feel.
Like, say, for example, an example that you and I have talked about a lot that involved a new roof that was done not by SunPower and not by Solar Wolf, and customers who've been very concerned that that family, probably they would be high on the list, and then maybe 2 households lower on the list, but right near them geographically might get benefit from that family's being high on the list.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So we done the Solarize part of our program?
I'm all set.
Okay, thanks. One member of Energy Committee suggested revisiting Energy Committee's market plan. Remember, we have a multi-year plan designed by Mike Duffy that we passed several years ago, just before Solarize Yarmouth. I'm looking, would you
Well,
say that we have time to give that a good discussion, Or do you think we should postpone that till the next meeting?
So this
Some
is,
of these other items, I obviously underestimated the time on.
so this has been my suggestion. I think, just want to remind us what we're talking about, and I'm not sure that Camilla would have actually been aware of it. So if it's okay, I'm going to quickly share my screen. Did
That would be
work?
excellent, Barry. That would be excellent.
Did that work?
Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
it did. Thank you. Mike
so-
couldn't come this week or this month, so I mean, the crazy thing was we were considering this master plan without him. But
Right, but
we can take a good look.
so back in 2021, the Energy Committee decided that it was going to undertake the mission of actually reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the town broadly, not just in terms of town consumption, but that we would be promoting energy efficiency to reduce total energy consumption, increase renewable energy, achieve more zero emission vehicles over the course of the next 5 years. And there's a detailed plan behind this that we should probably recirculate to the members of the committee for discussion next month, but I agree, we should probably not try to get into it. This was provoked for me because the Cape Cod Climate Action Network, which is relaunching, is looking at a comparable campaign for decarbonization, for reaching Cape residents to promote the multiple ways that households can reduce their carbon footprint. And what the Energy Committee had decided it wanted to work on 3 years ago. And I suspect because of Solarize kept our heads down until it got resolved, it feels like we should now feel free to get back to that core mission.
when you go back and look at this, you understand why Mike Duffy was recruited by or hired by the Fusion Group. The thoroughness of this thing is absolutely astounding. Of course, it's the second major thing he did. The first one was all the work that he did to put together the information for getting into the Green Communities Act. And it makes me very happy to know that he's part of that Fusion Group, helping them become as efficient as they can in their search for usable fusion energy. We're very lucky to have him.
Yep. I mean, and I would love to get an additional engineer. And I'm still, sending out feelers to people about that, but I haven't nabbed one yet. Remember, we used to be a 2-engineer group.
Well, if Mike W is any indication, they're probably all getting the big bucks from other sources.
So Joyce, if I send this as we originally adopted it to Bob and Sandy, can they include it in the minutes, and so then it's kosher for me to email it to everybody?
That would be excellent. Bob and Sandy, are you willing to do that?
It's Sandy that's going to have to do that. I don't do the technical stuff.
I will take care of that.
And also, I'll retrieve from Mariel tomorrow her slides that she included, so that we can have those up as part of the minutes as well.
Terrific.
Thank you. I will take care of that.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Cindy. Now we come to a big decision, and this will affect the date on which we get to discuss our multi-year action plan. We're currently down to meet at 4:30 on July 4th. I'm willing to do it, but I'm assuming that that's a bad idea. Also, according to the town clerk, it's illegal. So we have to schedule something different for July. Do we want to try to hash that out now? Or do you want me to send around a series of dates and times when the town Zoom is available?
Haven't we traditionally gone on vacation during the month of July?
We used to do that in August. One year we did it in July, but it was usually August. So I'd say if we were going to do July, then if people wanted time off in August, like to do an official meeting, I guess that would then be the month to do it. But I'm aware that some of the energy advocacy on the Cape might be helped by our having a meeting midsummer rather than late. Am I Barry?
You're breaking up, Joyce.
Oh,
I can
Um,
work with you though, Joyce, in regards to the dates because I have the Zoom login, so I know when it's available. So you and I can work together on that.
oh, that's great. Okay.
You're still breaking.
Barry, can you hear me okay? Barry, can you hear me?
Sorry,
Oh, okay. In terms of possible collaboration with other energy forces on the Cape, if we were to skip one meeting, is it better to skip August instead of July or July instead of August? You
know,
have a better sense of the other timetables.
this isn't something which is gonna launch in full bloom fast. I mean, this is an ambitious undertaking as it will be for the Energy Committee. I think all that's gonna happen next week is that there'll be a consensus that, yeah, we want to figure out how to do this, but I don't think we're going to miss the boat by depending on which month we talk about it. It's a long term.
Okay. Yes. Okay, and so the energy committees will be meeting as a group and there'll be discussion about that. Given all that and our July 4th, first Tuesday, would everyone like to not meet in July at all? And then resume with a full house, everybody there, including people from Madison, the first Tuesday in August? I'm
Sounds
trying to
good
get
to me.
a sense of what will work.
I'm flexible. This is Sandy.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It sounds
And I'm
good to me.
flexible. Okay, Camilla,
Yes, I'm flexible as well.
okay.
I
Barry,
move that we drop the July meeting in favor of having our next meeting on the first Tuesday in August.
Second,
is there a second discussion? All those in favor signify saying aye.
Aye,
I,
this is Sandy. Aye.
So every person, I vote aye as well. Every person present from Energy Committee has voted aye on that motion. So we will skip our July meeting and we might have to have a slightly longer meeting in August because of that. So I just want to give you advance warning on that. Especially because we do want to give serious time to the master plan and where we stand with it. I'm aware that we thought we'd have much more solar up by now through Solarized Yarmouth. But I know that we all thought that 1,000 zero emissions vehicles by 2025 probably wasn't realistic. But I'm encouraged by the number of people who have bought at least electric plug-in hybrids. So we're advancing, but I would be amazed if it were even half of 1,000.
I regard the plug-in hybrid as an EV with a safety feature. In case you can't find a charging station. That's sort of my
Well,
view.
You might have to drive through red states. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So we will, the major thrust of our August meeting will be revisiting the Energy Committee's master plan. Okay. So really look that over seriously. It'll be in our minutes. Barry will be sending it all to us. So we'll have it right in our inboxes as an attachment and we can give it serious thought.
I did just send it out, but I realized there are, am I right that there are 5 of us now or 6 of us now on the committee?
Uh,
Am I forgetting anybody? Oh,
the 2 people who aren't there are Regina Wood and Mike Duffy.
right. I keep.
And so then the
I'll
5
add-
of us who are there today.
Okay, great. I forgot Regina.
Yep,
I've
yep,
never seen her, so.
It's easy. It's easy to do that. She's liaison with the schools and as doing the school energy efficiency stuff. So yeah, and also there's I should send you out something about this. Let me make a note to myself. There is a summer energy education multi-day seminar that's a teaching thing that's going to meet in Hyannis. It's sponsored by the National Energy Education National Endowment for Energy Education. It's an N and 3 E's. I can't remember in which order. But also by the Cape Light Compact, and that happens in August. So there'll be a lot of information coming on that. That's the big event of the Compact's Educator Committee where Regina represents us. Okay, member announcements and suggestions for future agenda items. Not hearing any.
Move to
Are there-
adjourn.
If there aren't member announcements or suggestions, are there member motions?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye, Sandy.
Aye.
And aye. So note that it's a unanimous vote on the part of today's participants to run out into the sunshine before the rain starts.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming. I know with warm weather, it's ever more tempting not to go indoors for meeting, and you're stalwart to have come.
Thanks. Good night.
Have a lovely June for those of you that I don't see at the All Energy Committee meeting. And otherwise, it's just a short goodbye.
And happy 4th of July.
Take care, everybody.